Hey, it's Nikki Llewellyn-Gregory, founder of People Forward Network, and you're listening to Fringe. It's PFN's home show where we model the way for how to lead people forward. You'll hear from various people on our team, network updates around the great things happening, and pieces of other amazing shows that we bring in to share in partnership with other outstanding thought leaders moving people forward. I'm passing the mic to your host, executive producer of People Forward Network, Shawn Neal.
And thanks, Nikki. We have got a great show for you today. I'm actually talking to the one, the only People Forward Network's Manny. Now, you may know Manny, you may have heard of Manny, but today you're going to get to know Manny at a deep level. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Today, I'm sitting down with Manny, and we're going to learn a little bit about Manny. And Manny, you are a People Forward Network original. You've been here since the beginning. You are our brand mascot. You really embody everything that People Forward Network stands for. You're a valuable, valuable asset to this team. Everyone loves being around you, and you just always bring such an energy. So thanks so much for taking time to be with me today.
Yeah, well, thanks, Shawn. That's just the best compliment when someone says that I am a good, valuable team member. That's what I show up to do every day. I just want to help everybody here love their job. I didn't always have that. When I found that, I was like, I'm never leaving. I'm never leaving this wonderful job because it just makes everything else better in my life because it just pours into me and it makes me a better person. And I want to do that for other people. So it wasn't always like that, Shawn. It wasn't always like that.
Well, that makes sense to me because I think a lot of us have stories about that. You know, I grew up in a time when everything that you did, you had to protect because somebody was going to try and take your job. And yeah, tell me about this. I want to know what it was like before the Manny I know.
Well, Shawn, Chelsea and I, we have a lot of conversations about this because we have a similar background with a really, really scary place that we used to have to go to work. And, you know, when I even think back about that, it makes me so sad for those people. So sad for those people that have to work in those places where people don't treat them well. But anyway, Chelsea and I, we have so many stories that we love to talk about. Sometimes we have to remember to get back to work because we talk about, wow, that's what it was like then. And we don't have to do that anymore. But we do this work so that we can help more people not have to do that. And I just don't understand why it is that some of these workplaces, they don't value the people. That is the most important thing because you can't get the traction in your business if the people aren't happy. You're not getting their best. You're not able to bring out their best strengths. And so Shawn, for a long time I worked somewhere and I just was really down and I didn't see any value in myself, and no one in those places really cared. And I just was not very good for my family at that time. My family was really young and I would come home and I slept a lot and I'd do anything to not have to go to work, but I would go because I wanted to be a hard worker, but it just took it out of me. And I would complain, and sometimes I'd be with my friends and I'd feel like I'd bring them down because all I'd do is complain about my job. And then one day at that really bad workplace, I sat in the bathroom and trying to muster up the courage to go back to work. And I said, I'm not going to do this anymore. And I made a big decision without anything, no financials and nothing, no safety net. I made a big decision to say, I'm worth more than that.
I think it speaks to a lot of us. Sometimes it's employers care and they just don't know how to care the right way. Sometimes they don't care at all, but it doesn't matter. Like when it comes down to somebody like you or me who's sitting on the other side of that, it all feels the same, right?
Yeah. Well, there were some people that I worked with at the time, just a few, at that company, that really bad place, that they saw something in me. And I still look back today and I think, how did they even see that? Because I was not in a good place. So however they saw that, I think It's just really a gift to me because one of them, they helped me. They knew the day that I decided to quit without anything, just couldn't do it anymore. And I was really scary for my family too when I made that decision, but it was one of the best things that I did. But there was someone that I worked with that saw something in me and said, I have somebody that I want to connect you with. And so they sent me an email and they connected me with this person named Pam. And Pam was really the start to everything changing. They, on the outside, in the community, they got awards. They got awards for being great. And they weren't great. And, you know, even on the days that I needed to take a day off, they wouldn't even hear me on the days I needed to take a day off. And the way they didn't even, I mean, people in leadership, they didn't even say hello. It was just such I felt like nothing.
I need people to understand that it doesn't matter what you're paying them. It doesn't matter how many little gold stars you give them. At the end of the day, you risked everything to walk away from something that made you feel, and I'm stressing that, made you feel like you didn't have value. And can we just talk about like what that day was like for you as you walked away from that, going into the unknown? Like what was that experience like?
Me advocating for myself that day was one of the biggest things that I ever did. And it changed everything. And I encourage, first of all, workplaces to not be those bad places. And don't have those, fake, inauthentic, external views of your workplace. But really, you're really hurting people inside those places.
Yeah, it's powerful. And I hope that anybody listening to this recognizes the fact that I don't care what you do, people will leave if they don't feel valued, if they don't feel like they matter. And so let's talk about that, because as you said, there was somebody named Pam, I believe is who you said. And Pam kind of like started to give you that you absolutely didn't find it, but you went seeking it and you found Pam. So talk to me about Pam.
Yeah. Well, and Shawn, here's the thing that I look back on. The day I quit, I didn't even ask anybody for any help. I hadn't even asked anybody for any help. Someone just reached out to me that, we knew each other, and they were somebody that did make me feel seen. We were friends at work. And I told them, I can't do this anymore, and I have to go. And they said, where are you going? Like, where's your job? And I said, I don't have a job. I just have to go because I'm worth more than this. And one of those people, it was like when you're on a high dive and you want to jump in the pool, and if there wasn't water in the pool, you wouldn't jump, but you trust the water.
Well said, yes.
And that's what they did. And they made this introduction. They said, I think there's this lady that is a friend of my family. Her name is Pam. I think you should get to know Pam. So they just, within that same week, Shawn, I didn't even ask for help, but somebody helped me. And then I met Pam. And everything started to change. But the thing that I really, really want People Forward Network to tell more leaders about is, there are these bad workplaces. And it's not all their fault. If you're miserable there, you have to advocate. Part of this is you have to be your own advocate and make your own changes, because they're not going to do it for you. You could be there 20 years later and absolutely miserable, and you wasted your life. And so the first thing that I learned in that very scary time, but how quickly that pool was so full of water, I made the decision I couldn't do this, and we have to advocate for ourselves. And sometimes you might work at a really great workplace, but you know that you should be getting a raise. And so therefore, you have to be the person that brings it to the table. You have to do that. And then on the other side, these leaders, I tell you, they gotta build better places for these people. And that's why I love it here at People Forward Network, because we get to do that. But anyway, Shawn, let's get back to Pam. That was the next step, yes.
Here, let me point out the obvious to everyone listening. When you talked about your previous workplace, whose name we'll go and mention, everything about you changed. Your voice changed. Like we could hear it in your voice. And then when you talk about Pam, like the excitement comes back. So share with us about Pam, because I think Pam must have been an amazing person.
Yeah, well, Shawn, see, this is just what blows my mind sometimes too. And I look back at this, I went to college and then I got a job and then another job at the terrible place. And all throughout the college and the jobs up until I met Pam, no one had ever told me anything about an assessment for my own self-awareness. Have you done those kinds of things, Shawn?
Oh, I have. I've done some on my own, and I've done some through People Forward Network. And those are cool. Yeah.
Who am I kidding? We do that stuff here. So, you probably did this way before me. But, I meet Pam and she says, hey, why don't we see if we can pull up your Myers-Briggs and your disc? And I said, huh? I don't know what you mean. She said, you never heard of that before? I said, no. She said, no one's ever done either of those with you. I said, no. So I do this and she's telling me, you take this, don't overthink it. You just fill it out and be who you are when you take these. So I do. And I take these assessments and Pam says, I have a coach. His name is Jeff. And he's going to be in here on Monday, and I would like for you to meet with me and Jeff and to go through your results. Well, coming from that really bad, terrible workplace, Shawn, I walked in that meeting scared because I said my results, and I don't even know anything about a coach. So what are they? All I really knew at that time was what I expected from other places. And you know what I had to start doing? As I look back, this is another learning for me is to tell other people that your background is not your future. And Shawn, that Jason we work with, he said something that just is perfect for this. He said, in a car, you don't focus on the rear view mirror, you focus on the windshield. So, when we're looking at this, it's like, that's exactly right, Jason. That's great wisdom. But here's the thing. You have to unlearn, because I was scared to walk into that meeting, and it's not their fault. It's not their fault I was scared or that I lost sleep that night walking in there. It was because I was bringing my past stuff to this new place. And you know what Pam helped me do? She helped me unlearn these terrible things that I thought about myself and that I thought about this business. It wasn't fair to her. So anyway, Shawn, so we go into this meeting with this coach Jeff guy, and we sit down and we go through these results. And you know what Jeff said? Pam, you got a rock star here.
Yes. Yes.
And I remember those words. I remember those words because it was the first time that I remember someone saying, first of all, he started with the rock star thing, and I wasn't sure exactly what he was saying, but it felt good. And then we dug into this, and believe it or not, Pam, who was in her maybe third or fourth generation of working, she'd always been looking for somebody like me.
And so you walked into a situation with people who recognized that there's more to you than what, just walks through the door. They took the time to understand that and explore that. And then they found the rock star.
Yeah.
Wow.
I didn't really even know what that meant because I don't even know this Myers-Briggs or this thing at the time. Now I do. And now I love all these different assessments. And I know that changed my life. So I want to tell more people to take them. My favorite one right now is that YOS. That thing that we do is just incredible. Just getting to exactly why you're here and how you want to operate and, what you bring to the table. It's like, I wish we had that back then. We got there a lot faster even than that Myers-Briggs or that disc, but I still like those. But we also do at the People Forward Network, we do the strengths. And wow, there's books on that. And I read every single book, because I have found that, when you really know yourself and you help other people know you, then everyone sees you for who you are. And you can talk in a language that helps you and what you love to do really add value to the others you work with. So it all started to change. And when Pam said, I've always been looking for you, I was like, what do you mean? She said, well, we've done a terrible job with marketing this place. People don't know who we are. we're not getting in front of those right people. And we have all these therapists that work here, and we have all these detailed data people that work here. And she said, it's always been on my shoulders to do all this marketing and run the business and the sales. And by golly, I was the person to the profile that she was looking for. And we were off to the races, Shawn. And we started winning, and I felt alive.
Yeah. What was that like? Because I mean, that contrast of where you came from to that, I mean, that's big. What was it like the first time you really sat in the driver's seat, so to speak, of your own destiny and your own strengths and just be allowed to do what you do best?
Well, Shawn, this has been years ago since this happened, but it's a really important story. And Pam, man, I think she wanted to pull her hair out with me for a long time, but she stuck it out. We have such a cool story, and I always talk about her. She would always tell me, but that's not the way it is here. I'd always be bringing things, and I'm like scared, and I'm mistrusting, and she walked the whole way with me to help me change the way that I showed up. But it was a long time. It was a long time that it took me to break all those bad habits about that toxic, bad workplace that I was in. And the thing she did was she just kept going. Even sometimes she'd tell me she wanted to pull her hair out. But we just kept going. And then, Shawn, I started to do this really cool marketing stuff. Because when I was telling you she had a coach, she got me a coach. So I got a coach there. And so my coach, because I had never done marketing, but this assessment told me I was supposed to be in marketing. So I was like, well, how am I supposed to do this if I don't even know marketing? But the assessment said, and you know what, Shawn, with that coach and the coaching and the training that I did, I just started to feel like this is what I was born to do.
I hope everyone listening is hearing the transformation from point A to point B. And it's not that your previous employer or any employer before that couldn't have changed the trajectory of where they were at, but it's that you had to go seek out somebody that did recognize those. So I hope everybody listening is paying attention to that. You landed here at People Forward Network for a reason. And I'm kind of just, fast forwarding through time here, but you landed here for a reason. And there's so much of our values that we put on the table. And, we've got our pledge that, we ask people to take a really hard look at. It sounds kind of trite and, trivial up front to say, here, sign this pledge. But it's like, take a really hard look at this pledge and make sure that when you come into this People Forward Network culture, like this is who you are truly, and you can live and breathe into that. Talk to me about this experience that you have found here at People Forward Network, because what I'd really like to dive into in a minute is how you then are driving the team like you do and keeping everybody just motivated and in their lane, and like you're just doing a great job. So let's start there. What has it been like to transition from there with Pam to People Forward Network? And
well, there is one piece of the story, Shawn, that I think I missed telling you that's really important. So when I was at that really bad place that I worked that I told you about, my title then, I was just trying to remember so I could tell you, it was account assistant.
Okay.
And those account assistants, anybody that was an account assistant hated their life. It was awful. Nobody cared about the account assistants. Well, you're never going to believe this. When I got to supportive systems and I got with Pam, she made me the brand manager.
Oh, that's big.
Right.
That's big.
Yeah, my family couldn't believe it. It was really, really something. My kids were so proud, and I just felt like, wow, I'm at this place, and it was so much better. And I had a title that I felt proud of, and she saw me, for the strengths that I had. And let me tell you something, real quickly, after we started working together, we started doing some big things. Really big. And then we started doing some cool celebrations. She took me to the steakhouse one time, and we had such a great time. And one time, we went on like a day trip to go visit a bunch of clients, and she trusted me doing things. She said, let's just split and conquer. You just go do this and I'll do this. And I was like, me? She just allowed me to go do those things. And then afterwards, when we'd drive back, we would do a debrief. That's what she called it, a debrief. I'd never heard of that before. And then we did this debrief, and she told me all the things, and I explained the things that I was struggling with, and then she would be my coach on the way back. And every time I just worked to get better. But the thing I want to say there, Shawn, is, how we are, represented in a company, and how leaders, what they call us and how they acknowledge us and the time they spend with us, it really matters. It really matters. So anyway, Shawn, I just wanted to make sure that you knew that part right there, because it was really a cool time of life. And then, so Pam, everybody has to change in life. And one day she told me, we're going to have to sell the company because she's going to retire. Oh, man. And I was happy for her, but I was sad for me. But believe it or not, Pam helped me get some next connections. And you are never going to believe what Pam helped me do. I got involved in the Rotary. Have you ever heard of the Rotary, Shawn?
For sure. And that tells me a lot about how you take this and love to, help others. I love it. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, so the Rotary, it was just a bunch of people that were all like happy all the time, trying to do good in the world. And I was like, man, I wish that really bad workplace would get involved with the Rotary. So I did the Rotary, and then I got involved in, some of these like, city gatherings like the chamber. And believe it or not, Pam started telling everybody that I was so good at my job. And really, it wasn't just that I was good at marketing, but I could really help workplaces with their culture because I was so passionate about it. And so, people were asking me at the Rotary to be a speaker. Well, then, because Pam taught me we got to get coaches in our lives, I went out and I got a coach for my speaking, because I was like, I'm not a speaker, but I want to do a good job, and I want to share what I know, but I don't want to ruin this opportunity. And so, at that time, I had enough savings that I went and I hired my first coach on my own. And he helped me with speaking so that I could really take those opportunities with the Rotary and teach more workplaces. And then it started with the chamber. And believe it or not, this marketing thing, I was still really good at marketing. I still really am. Just ask Ashley. Ashley half the time she's taking credit for this stuff, but I'm the behind the scenes. So Ashley, if you hear this right now, I know we're a tag team, and I'm just joking. We create great things together, and I sure am a good marketer. But even bigger than that, Shawn, my skills are in marketing, but my passion is in helping workplaces be like Pam and like supportive systems. And so that's how I got to People Forward Network. Was, Pam started introducing me to different people, and Nikki, she is very involved in the community, and she happened to be part of the Rotary. So she was one of those leaders in the audience, and she was hearing what I was saying. She was also real passionate about culture, and the road just started to come together. And then she said, hey, I've been thinking about something for a while, and I need passionate people for this idea of bringing a community together that helps to inspire more leaders to be excellent and to focus on people first. And I don't know what it's called, but then there was this Rachel lady that we work with. I think you know her, Shawn. We did that. I know you came in here and you just put some polish on this place. This place is just, wow. I go and tell my friends all the time, it's just incredible what we're doing at that People Forward Network. It's just incredible. And you've really put the polish on. But before you, we worked with somebody that was really great, Rachel, and her team, to really bring this to life. But one day we were sitting around and we're trying to figure out what the heck is this thing. And, I don't know why, but Nikki asked me to be at the table with her and Rachel to talk about it because I was so passionate. And we sat there and we came up with this idea. A lot of those people are saying people first, but they're not really doing it. But we like it, but we want to do this other thing that's really the commitment. And that's really the outcome, which is you're really moving people forward. And so I was there at that table that day. And I knew Ashley before because she was working with Nikki on another project. Ashley then started to be, helping us to bring this to life. And so she was always working behind the scenes. So me and Ashley, we've worked on this since before it was even a thing. And it's really fun working with her now. Man, she gets stuff done, doesn't she? She really
Yes,
does.
she does.
So then Stephanie comes along that I know you know, Shawn. Boy, I'll tell you that Stephanie, sometimes I tell her, listen, you got to turn it off sometimes. And you got to tell people no sometimes. As much as I want to help everybody, you can't just keep helping everybody because you got to take care of you. That's a really good point, Shawn, that I learned is you can't pour from an empty cup. Is that what they say?
It is.
You got to keep your cup full. So Stephanie, she just gave her everything. And I know we just sent her off recently as the GOAT. I love that. The greatest of all time. And we put it in there and we said the startup GOAT. Because she really, Shawn, this company, it wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Stephanie and all that she did. She just did a lot. And then here came Chelsea, and Chelsea came in and she was just, well, as I told you, she was running away from that horrible workplace. And I watched her do exactly what I did. She was bringing all that past stuff into this place. But she was so excited to work for a different place that wasn't like her terrible workplace. We have so many similarities, but she still works on that unlearning thing. And I think I'm her greatest mentor. A lot of times she comes to me to talk about that because I still do it too. But she's shorter, out of that terrible place. So she's still working, but she now inspires other people to do that too. And it's just part of it, Shawn. But I will tell you that there's so much to say about this People Forward Network, but I'm just so proud of this place. And it's the compilation of everything that I got to do and learn. And now we, all of us that have this passion, we get to take our strengths and be able to take our piece of the pie and inspire people with what we're passionate about to move people forward. And boy, one more thing about that Chelsea. She, at first, did you know this story? I don't know if anybody told you, but when she first started, she said, well, I would do anything except for any social media or, marketing stuff. I'll tell you what, the best stories that we get to put out sometimes come from that Chelsea. She tells the stories and she's such a great writer, but it's because she lived that. And so all of us, there's a reason or why no one will ever work at People Forward Network unless they are passionate about changing the workplace. And it's cool that every single person on this team, man, they have a fire for it. And it's so cool in marketing because Ashley and I, we get to just take their stories and then we take their stories and all of these partners and their passion and there's no lack of being able to help these leaders get to greatness. And that's what we're doing. And Shawn, what you teased out a little bit ago is the cherry on the cupcake. It is that now that we've got this base built, we've been at this we're going into our 4th year now. And man, did you come in, Shawn, and change the game. You made us so much better. But now we have this pledge. And it's no more, like I said about that terrible workplace and the outside of it, it said that they're the best workplaces and they had stickers on their freaking door. I don't know. Sorry about that word, but, those doors that had their best workplace. And you walk in there with your head hung down and depressed. No more hiding behind things that aren't real. Now we are asking people to take a pledge of commitment and then bringing all these. Shawn, did you know we crossed that million? We've been working on that million number since the beginning, and now it's rolling.
That's 1 million listens across the network to all these great podcasts that People Forward Network produces for our partners. That's amazing.
And, Ashley, she's really good at that data. She keeps track of all that stuff. That's not my wheelhouse. She keeps track of all that data. And I'm pretty sure, Shawn, we're almost 1/3 of the way to 2 million.
Yes, indeed.
And you know what? As we keep getting bigger and bigger, we have to have people that are absolutely walking the walk of People Forward Network. And so, now is the time that we ask them for their true commitment. It's not just, you're going to be just a silent partner or just a listener that we don't know. You can. But if you really want to make change, you got to be the change you want to see, and you got to do it. You got to be that. And so we're asking them to sign this commitment. And that commitment, boy, I won't keep going, Shawn. Remember, I told you got to reel me in sometimes. But if I get going on that, we spent so much time writing this thing and getting it to where it is. And this pledge, it's something. And these people that take this pledge, they are going to change the world. And they are going to help those terrible workplaces go away or get better.
That's amazing. So, Manny, our time is wrapping up. I would love to kind of end this on a, let's look at some of the best advice based on the things that you've learned throughout the years. If you could say, dear leader who just needs to hear this, here's the best advice I can give you going forward to change that culture, to get things where they need to be, what would you tell them?
I think the thing that is overlooked, but I see the best leaders do really well, is they are relationship builders. And they spend time really getting to know the people that they lead and find the best ways to connect with those people. And then those people feel seen and they feel heard and they're challenged in a great way because that leader sees their next steps even when they don't see them. And that's what Pam did. And now I'm pretty good at that too, Shawn. I'm pretty good at that. But I think it's the relationship thing, Shawn, and many people don't prioritize that. But I think that if you do that well, all the rest of the stuff can work so much better.
I agree. Manny, you are represented in the People Forward Network, on our website, on so many of our marketing kits as this little iconic stick figure that always makes me smile every time I see it. And I think ultimately that is because your story speaks to everybody out there. Like, we are all Manny in some way. As you're talking, I'm like, I relate back to the things that I've experienced and the things that I now experience here at People Forward Network. And I think that's valuable. Thank you so much for taking time to be a guest here, to share this, and to just help us get to know what really is driving that People Forward Network forward as we continue to do the work that we're doing. My takeaways from today's conversation with Manny are this. Number one, you have to be your own advocate. Number two, there's a reason the windshield of a car is bigger than the rear view mirror. Number three, trust in your people absolutely matters. Number four, assessments add so much value to getting to know who we are and where our strengths lie. Number five, sometimes the real gems in a business don't really care about taking credit or getting all the accolades. They're just behind the scenes doing the great work, making the team feel good and helping everybody work forward. And finally, number six, relationships matter.
That's it for today's show. Do meaningful work, live a meaningful life, and keep moving people forward.